Does employer pedigree matter when you're looking for a new job? Stick around because I'm going to answer this question. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I want to answer the question, does employer pedigree matter when you're looking for a new job? Now this is a continuation of the series that I started a few videos ago where I'm answering questions that you actually are asking me. So it's a little bit of a Q&A session, so if you leave a question for me, I might answer it in a future video. But before we get into answering your question, if you're interested in more videos just like this one directly from a corporate recruiter, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You might want to hit that notification bell as well so that you don't miss any future posts. And if you have a question for me, leave a comment on this video. And as a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm only going to answer questions from people who are actively subscribed. So it's going to give you a little bit of an incentive to hit that subscribe button. So first of all, thank you to everybody who left a question. And there's actually a ton of really good ones in here. And I'm going to be answering a bunch of them on both my YouTube channel, and I actually started answering some on my TikTok as well. So if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure you head over there. You might actually find your questions already been answered or will be answered in the near future. So today's question is from Aaron Dundee, and he is asking, does having a Fortune 50, 100, or 500 company on your resume make a difference when looking for a job? So essentially what he's asking is, does employer pedigree even matter? So the answer to this question, unfortunately, isn't straightforward. It really depends on the industry and the type of companies that you're interested in working for. But I'm going to give you just kind of an overarching view of what recruiters and hiring authorities look at when they see pedigree versus non-pedigree. So in this case, let's look at it from kind of a generic big Fortune 500 company. If I'm recruiting for a well-known organization, they tend to bias or favor having a name brand or pedigree company on their resume. And let me define what pedigree means, at least to me. A pedigree company is a company that you've heard of that is generally considered to be well respected. Usually it's going to be a larger company or a company that has a lot of clout in their industry. It could be an internet startup that has kind of blossomed and become a kind of a big player. Like I think like Instacart or Grubhub or something like that. That's maybe not a huge company, but is well regarded and well recognized in their space. Companies tend to bias towards big companies if you have it on your resume because it de-risks the hire on some level. And what I mean by that is an employer is making a decision on an employee based on the fact that they think that the employee could work in their organization in the type of industry that they're in and kind of with the existing sets of business practices, business processes, etc., etc. When you work for another large, well-known or reputable company, there's a sense that if you can handle it there, that you can handle it where you currently are, or you've been exposed to cutting-edge, state-of-the-art processes, maybe software, or you've been around other really smart people who have been able to kind of elevate the departments that you work in. So an employer, right, wrong, or indifferent, is going to bias in general toward the person who has pedigree on their resume. Now, this is not a blanket statement saying that if you work for a smaller company that you can't have best-in-class processes, work with really smart people, et cetera, et cetera. But what it's saying from again, this is a generic 30,000 foot level, that's kind of how companies look at it. I think that it would be very beneficial to you if early into your career, you could try to get at least one or maybe two pedigree companies on your resume, because I really do think it opens up a lot of doors for you. And especially the earlier you have it in your career, the more doors will be opened up sooner in your career, which could help propel you quicker in your career to your career goal. And of course, there's always opportunities for promotions at bigger companies just because they simply have more jobs available. And in a lot of cases, bigger companies can pay more than smaller companies, but not in all cases. Now, there's a disadvantage to working at bigger companies. In fact, some companies biased against bigger companies because in general, if you work at a massive company, you might just be a very small cog in a massive wheel. And so what you're touching in your day-to-day is not really impacting the broader business in a very tangible, real, immediate sense. So some smaller companies actually bias against that. They want to see somebody that is comfortable working in a situation where if they do something in their job, it could actually impact everything around them and very visibly. Because realistically, it is two different skill sets. And let's use software developers as a case study. If, say, you went to a small company and you were a software developer, you would be probably working on a fairly small team, but your impact to that team would be much more significant because the work that you're doing would be a much bigger percentage of that project. The chances of your work being seen in a more tangible way by the end user in a small company is going to be a lot higher. But on the flip side, if you were to go into an organization like Amazon and you were to be coding let's just say a web app, you're going to be part of a team inside of a team inside of a team and maybe inside of another team. And it's a massive distributed system. And so what you're working on is just going to be a very small sliver of a much bigger product. And it's just the nature of the size of the organizations. So a company like Amazon would tend to bias away from a small unknown company because of the size of the distributed system. However, a small company may bias away from a company like Amazon because they want somebody that's more nimble and flexible and can wear multiple hats more quickly. So it's kind of really a double-edged sword. But again, I think either way, if you're targeting companies that have a good reputation, if they're small or large, and you're working with really smart people on really good technology, any of that's going to be beneficial to you as you take it forward in your career. So I think a good, well-rounded career has a little bit of both. You've got an experience in a Fortune 500 company, and you've got an experience in maybe even a startup, and you have a well-rounded background that you can take forward. And it's also going to help you figure out what you like and what you don't like. So try to get that experience at the Fortune 500 company early. It will open up some more doors for you than the person who doesn't have it. I'm not going to lie, especially in certain traditional industries. We did really look for that. One other thing that I would mention is if you're in an industry where it has a major player or two and you can get a job there just to get that experience on your belt, it probably would behoove you to do that. So hopefully this helps answer your question. I know that this is kind of a little bit ambiguous, but it really does just depend on the industry that you're working in. And as always, if you need more help in your job search, that's something that I specialize in. You probably have seen my other videos and you know the spiel. There's links in my bio for my website and training and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, appreciate you watching. We will see you on the next one.